Welcome to Chef Special. Today we're in for a really special treat. We've got the executive chef of the Blackbird Bar and Grill and Donna Chang's, Jake Nicolson. Welcome.
Cheers, thanks very much.
Yeah. What are we cooking today, Jake?
Today we've got a soy braised sticky beef ribs with a little bit of a pickled purple cauliflower, mandarin and red quinoa salad.
So we were talking before, Beef City, 120 day.
Yep.
Grain fed, like, you know, short ribs. So why have you chosen to do this one?
Well, just because of the weather, you know, it's been a bit chilly in Queensland lately, and I think that these beef ribs from Darling Downs, Queensland, great product really to braise. They've got a great marbling quality, and they just create a really great dish for this kind of weather.
We're so fortunate to have produce of this quality. You know, it's on our doorstep. Just look at the marbling in this. This is short rib. So you know, this is a muscle that works pretty hard. You know, it's not a cut that you would normally expect to see that level of marbling in it. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to see what we're going to do with it.
Thanks, I am too. Righto, from here we grab the beef ribs, and yeah, as you can see, the fat covering across that is absolutely perfect. You can actually see the marbling across that. So even though this is a braising type of piece of beef, this is going to lend itself perfectly for this dish.
So we don't want to trim any of that fat off.
You don't necessarily need to trim that fat off at all, because that's going to melt down in the pot and just even give us a great mouthfeel.
Lovely.
So there's 3 ribs across here. So what we're going to do is just take the knife there. You can see the bones across the top there. You just easily put your knife down through that, and
nice and simple.
Yeah, then we've got, it is nice and simple. We've got 3 beautiful fingers there, so that's going to be 3 portions there. You know, you'd have to be a good eater really to handle that one.
Knock that over.
But I think we'll be able to handle that. So you can see that marbling quality there. It's absolutely beautiful. And you know, if you actually cut that off, you'd be able to just grill that as a steak, and that'd be absolutely perfect. Today, this dish here, we're going to do the sticky braised short ribs.
Yep.
So it's pretty much a one-pot wonder, but there's a few different flavours. Yeah. So in the pot, here it goes. And you don't have to seal these or anything. They just go straight into the pot like that. And that's why I think this is great for this type of weather, because nice, slow cooked, beautiful aromatic flavours and stuff that are going to fill your house full of nice and warmth and
for sure.
Make it a great feast. Next step really is to take some of these ingredients. So firstly we have soy sauce. We put a little bit of soy sauce on there. Now the recipes and stuff are all available, but yeah, I think that if you have experience, I guess when you know the flavours, you can just put in whatever you think in it. It generally always turns out beautiful.
So is that just a normal standard light soy?
Yeah, that's a standard light soy. There's 2 different ingredients in that recipe. There's a dark soy and a light soy, and it's just so we don't overdo the salt really. So the light soy is a little bit lower on sodium. So
as a tip, would you say to people in terms of adding the ingredients, they're better to be a little bit light-handed to begin with? Because you can't take it out once it's gone in?
You can't really take it out once it's gone in, but you can also top it up with water and things as well. This recipe,
dilute it a little bit
dilutes.
If you need to.
It really is hard to overdo it unless you put in, you know, twice the amount of soy the recipe says. So I always find that once we reduce down the syrup at the end, the sauce, it sort of, you know, glazes itself perfectly. So it's a great recipe, and I hope you like it. Yeah. So next thing is sesame oil. Put that in. Now, it really doesn't matter in what order you put this stuff in, really. It's just, you know, different ingredients that are all going on top of each other. There's some garlic in there. Now, you can microplane it in there, or you can just chop it and put it in, but because we're professionals, we'll use the microplane today.
So, you know, we talk about, you know, cooking in restaurants, we talk about cooking at home. Where did the love of this type of food come from?
From my early days at Cirque the Prince in Melbourne, we kind of had a bit of a Pacific Rim style of food. So I just found that this type of meat, these short ribs, really lend themselves perfectly to these flavours. It is more for the cooler weather, so perfect time of year for that.
Lovely.
Next step here is we throw in some ginger as well. Again, you can use the microplane, but you just really, I mean, because it cooks for 4 to sometimes 6 hours, it doesn't really matter how you cut it up, as long as you don't cut your finger. We don't want to do that. So in goes the ginger. And then after that, we've got some sesame seeds as well. So sesame is, you know, gives a great aromatic flavour and stuff to that.
Earthiness to it.
Yep. And then also we have some spring onion or green shallots. I never know what to call them in this state. And they quite simply just chop this bit up. Again, these are all just aromatic ingredients really to, you know, make this dish sing, get the flavours really sort of enhanced.
Any spice in this one at all, Chef?
So in terms of spice, obviously we've got the ginger and the garlic as well at the moment. We don't actually add in things like cloves or cinnamon or anything. It's just this style of cuisine, the flavour really comes from the soy sauce, the sesame oil, the seeds, the onion, and then there's this secret ingredient. Now this one is the Nashi Pear, and the Nashi Pear, the reason this is the secret ingredient, the enzymes in this really help break down the meat. We need to grate this one down, so you actually grate the whole lot, skin and all. And you probably noticed that I use the skin as well from the ginger. A lot of recipes call for, you know, peeling the ginger. It's really not necessarily in this type of cuisine. It's a little bit more rustic. Yeah, a little bit more rustic. It's just about flavours. You know, hopefully you don't create a massive mess. All right, in goes the Nashi. Get that out there. A couple of those, and we'll just put this around.
So, any more ingredients, Chef?
Yeah, we've got a couple more ingredients to go here. So we've got the Kecap Manis, and this is probably a big key element to this dish. It's very sticky, so it's like an over-concentrated soy sauce. It's very, very sweet. So you can be quite generous and stuff with that because, you know, we do like sweet things. And this is also a big part of creating the glaze at the end of the dish.
That caramelisation.
Yep. And then there's also just a little bit of sugar in here. And so you probably noticed that we haven't put in any salt. And so the reason that we've done that is because the soy sauces, the sesame oil and all these other flavours in there really act as our seasoning. Along with the Nashi Pear as well. So it's all in the pot now. Just one last thing to do, and that's add the water.
Okay, I can help you with that.
Yep.
Say when?
Right up to the top, so it's just covering the beef. All of that. Perfect.
Lovely.
So you can see now the water has covered our bones, the beef, and all of this stuff here. It's not important really to mix it all around because that's all going to stew down and braise essentially in that pot, and that's going to be delicious in 4 hours.
So we bring it up to the boil.
Yep.
And then we turn it back down a bit so it just ticks away.
Yep.
Like tell me, Chef, is that an important thing? Because some people at home, you know, once they get it up to the boil, they'll think, oh, it'll be quicker if I just leave it on high temp. What are we going to end up if we do that?
Exactly, that's a pretty good question.
Yeah.
I mean, the cooking time and how rapid you cook it is really imperative to this dish. So we need to bring it up to the boil quite quick and then turn it down to a very slow simmer. Now, a simmer just means that the bubbles are just breaking the surface. So it wants to be ticking away. It should start to smell delicious. If you overcook it, the beef tends to tighten up. And it will actually take longer and longer to cook. So we just want a nice, it becomes drier. Tougher. We just want a really slow simmer. And then I will check this after about 3 hours. It's unlikely that it'll be ready. After about 4 hours, what you'll find is that the beef is really starting to go quite soft. It's not falling away from the bone, but it's becoming quite gelatinous. You don't want to play with it.
It's not quite far off that.
It's not quite far off that. So I can show you how to test that after this is cooked.
So Chef, we'll pop the lid on. We'll let it tick away. We'll start making the salad that'll go with this, huh?
Perfect, sounds good.
Great.
All right, so what we've got is we've got a few ingredients here. We've got cucumber. We've got this beautiful purple cauliflower.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's very bright. We've got mandarins, which are perfect for this time of the year. Some crispy radishes, some red quinoa, a little bit of ginger, and some mandarin and some beautiful herbs as well.
An amazing selection of local produce that's in season right now.
Yep, so this stuff here, you've got a lot of crunch, nice little bit of sweet and a little bit of pickle, so it just lends itself really well to these beautiful ribs.
cuts through the richness, I suppose, you know, having that sort of freshness on the side.
Well, this is probably not so traditional really to use some of these ingredients, particularly the purple cauliflower. I just like to think outside the box a little bit when it comes to this type of food. So, you know, I think of the climate and things we're in and the type of dish and stuff we're using. So, you know, because it is a sticky braised beef rib, we need something that's got a bit of a crunch, a little bit of colour, and then also something a little bit fun, like the red quinoa. You know, it's had its day in terms of trends, and I think that this is really great, not only good for your health, but good for the digestive system.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the old saying too, that there's nothing new in food, there's just rediscovery and redefinition. So, you know, the way that you've looked at a classical dish and reinterpret it, you know, that's really, it's really the way that food is moving. You know,
Exactly.
it's harking back to, you know, the classics, but finding new and different ways of presenting them.
So what we need is we need a nice dressing as well to go with this stuff, and I find the best thing to do with it is a light pickle, and a pickle is a vinegar and combined with some sugar and a little bit of soy sauce, and then that'll be it.
Fresh and lively. And you can see here the beautiful selection of ingredients we've got. It is going to be all of that.
It sure will. So there's a few different herbs and stuff we have here. So what we do is we have coriander, so beautiful, fresh, aromatic flavors in here, and you can just tear that and rip it in because bruising the stems really helps that flavor come out and makes it really aromatic. So people love it or hate it really, but personally I love it. So it goes.
Yeah.
All right, so the purple cauliflower's in. So the thing about purple cauliflower as well is it's beautiful and purple when it's on the shelf, but if you put it in boiling water, the colour's gone.
Yeah.
So I advise that you can actually use this raw. Now the recipe does say that you can blanch it, but you might lose a little bit of colour on that, and I advise to maybe break that apart and use it raw. It is beautiful just eaten like that as well. So
when it's so fresh, I could feel it when I was cutting it up. It was crunchy and crisp. So why not?
Yep, exactly. And so here we have Mandarin. So Mandarin's going to add in a little bit of sweet flavour as well. Put that in like that. And there's a couple of other herbs as well that we need. We need mint. Here we go, beautiful bunch of mint. That can go in there.
So you can see he's not mucking around with this. He's not doing fine chopping or anything like that there. It's very rough. It's quite rustic.
The red quinoa has been slightly cooked. Now that takes about 5 or 6 minutes to cook. It's pretty simple. You can use red or white quinoa, any other grains, black barley. And then also what we have is some radish. Now, radish is really something that's going to add a little bit of heat. So if we just slice that.
So this is a tool that's used in commercial kitchens.
Yep.
Look, it's invariably it's available at any specialty cooking store or knife store. And the reason for it, Chef, like, you know, is we can see how thinly those radishes have sliced. And if you tried to do that by hand with a knife, it would be very difficult to get that consistency. So use the right tool for the job, and that's a very good example of it.
Perfect. Now, so the last thing we need to put in here is a little bit of the pickled ginger. And we just only want a little bit of that because that's got a bit of heat to it. And then we have some black sesame seeds in there. And then what we do is we have this pickle. And so the rice wine pickle, the dressing, I've actually put the recipe there for you to look at. It's a little bit of rice wine pickle. There's some soy in there. There's a touch of sugar and some ginger and garlic. So we've already made that in advance there, and just give that a nice good coat. Now that's sort of like using lemon juice, I guess. A lot of
that's your
salads.
acidity.
Yep, that's the acidity. And so you can see those colours in there.
It's vibrant.
It's popping.
It's beautiful.
So that's.
So how long could this sit now, Chef? Once we've got it to this stage?
Well, I'd say probably about 20 minutes, really.
Yep.
Look, this would still be okay to eat the next day. I personally wouldn't shy away from it because it is going to be delicious. And obviously, when you're pickling something, that's the whole reason for doing it.
Those flavours is just going to keep on infusing and keep developing.
Yep. So there we are. So that's our salad. So that's the purple cauliflower, quinoa, radish, coriander salad ready to go for the beef ribs.
All right, Jake. So the ribs have been ticking away for about 4 hours. It's time for the moment of truth.
Let's check it out.
Let's see.
All right, perfect.
Lovely.
So they look good. It looks like the liquid is reduced a little bit down over the bones and the beef.
So what are we looking for here, Chef, to know that it's ready?
So really a good trick of mine is I actually use the back of a spoon. So if you push it in there like that, you can see that it's nice and soft. So if you use the back of a spoon, it's not sharp. So if you push it in there, it just breaks away. It's just coming away from that bone.
Wow,
that means it's going to be...
looks incredible.
Yeah. So let's transfer that to the plate now.
Lovely.
Just a little bit of caution here when you're getting these out. Now, the beef can fall away from the bone, and that's not a problem. So you can see that one there, that the beef's just coming away. There's a nice fat line. Now that intercostal type fat there will be like jelly when we eat that. That's exactly what we want.
So all of that fat that was on the original piece is rendered down. It's almost emulsified and become part of the sauce.
Yeah, it sure has.
Added to the richness.
It sure has. So you can see there, it's nice and soft, just pulling away from the bone.
Wow, it smells incredible.
Yeah, and now you can please yourself. If you want to take away the bone, you can take away from the bone.
Yep.
You see how easy that come out. And there you have it, really. So what we're going to do now is we've taken a little bit of this liquid and we've reduced that down, and now that helps the stock become sticky.
Sure.
We'll finish our dish off now. So we've got the beautiful crisp salad
Salad
here,
that we've made just earlier.
and you can be quite generous. Now you can put 4 or 5 or 6 ribs
sure.
on there. And the good thing about this dish is you can eat it now like this, just 2 people enjoying a nice wine, or the next day this can be pulled apart and used in bao buns or tacos, or you could even make a pie or something like that.
Sure. Would this be something, Chef, that you'd be comfortable also freezing if you had some leftover product? Yeah,
absolutely. Because this meat essentially, it won't break down anymore, it won't dry out, it's nice and succulent throughout, so it really is a perfect way to cook this type of beef. So here's the syrup.
The glaze.
Yep, the glaze, and we put that on there. It's going to be a touch on the sweet side, but then of course we've got our crunch and our pickle here. We've also got the soy, which is going to add the salt, so it really is that umami of flavours on this dish. So yeah, we've just carefully glazed the sauce across the beef, and then we add a little bit of those nice beautiful toasted sesame seeds across the top, and then we'll just put a few little bits of coriander on here.
Finish it off.
Finish it off like that, and you can see that this dish, it can really be shared amongst a few people. It's a really good family style meal, feast around the table, or a good dish for one person too.
So how about we choose a wine to go with this wonderful beef product that we've made. We've got a superb Piper's Brook Pinot Noir. This is from northeastern Tasmania. It won a gold medal at last year's Royal Queensland Food and Wine Show. So, you know, its pedigree is right up there. I think it's going to be very, very nicely paired with the beef dish that you've made, Chef.
Sounds perfect.
Should we get into it?
Absolutely.
Great.
Cheers.